Do you feel like you create icons or do you feel like you discover them? Is it true that the Orthodox Church worships icons?
I'm tattooing full time, making more money than I've ever made, and I think that was the straw that broke the camel's back. There's a night that I'm sitting in my house in Houston, Texas, alone, no job, no girlfriend, no friends, no one to turn to. The one person that I thought about was my dad, and so I called him. I would come to church and see that these people, they had something that I could not attain just because they fit in and I didn't.
So like you were locked out of heaven.
I just didn't fit.
Who did you feel like you took it out on?
I would say that I made the switch to say that there was
no God
whatsoever.
Atheist.
Yeah. I went to conventions and read books. The girl I was dating at the time, she cleaned up like crime scenes.
That's
anyway.
gnarly.
So like everyone knew that there was something about me, but I wasn't aware of what that was.
It's almost like God marked you at that time.
Like, should I still live?
Yeah.
Like, you know, is it really worth doing this anymore? You know,
yeah.
Ditching school, smoking pot. I mean, I was baptized Orthodox.
Yeah.
But I left the church as soon as I could.
Coming into the church, you know, and you feel dirty and you're like, oh, all these people are looking at me. You're insecure.
I'm not a Sunday school teacher. I'm not gonna be a priest. Where do I fit in this equation? I was always the outsider looking in. I'm walking outside of the monastery grounds and I see this priest sitting underneath a palm tree.
Are tattoos a sin? Joe Metz. Who is Joe Metz?
Well, I still have no idea who that is.
No? Let's get it. Yeah.
Optox.
Optox. Do you know what this is? Like the little kind of cover thing on this is called? It's called a dead cat.
A dead cat?
Dead cat. And I think it's probably because it
looks like a dead cat.
Yeah, it looks like a dead cat, maybe made out of a dead cat back in the day. But I think it's interesting that somebody was able to think of something and create something that changed our life. And so you don't know the name of the guy who created the dead cat, right? And something supersedes you. I see yourself as an artist, not putting your name on your art. There's an artist's ambition where it's like, I just want what I create to supersede me as a person.
Yeah, precisely. Yeah, I mean, so that was always the goal in my art path, was to create a name for myself. And even like towards the end of art school, the whole pretense behind what you're gonna do after school was to develop a name for yourself and blow your name up.
Yeah.
And it became this very like narcissistic type of way of making work, and it was just about me. And frankly, I mean, there's a lot of interesting people in the world, and I don't know if I'm like interesting enough to be selling millions of dollars worth of my work and my ideas. So with that being said, I kind of just fell out of love with the world of art in a secular space.
Before we jump into that, who is this person that you were trying to blow up? Joe Metz. Who is Joe Metz?
Well, I still have no idea who that is.
Let's get into it.
Yeah, I mean,
where'd you start out, more specifically?
Well, I started out in Southern California, in Fullerton. I was born in 1986, raised by 2 Orthodox parents, went through a private school system. On paper, everything looks gravy, but growing up, there was a lot of disassociation culturally, academically. I'm half Egyptian, half German. I went to school in LA County, but lived in Orange County. I went to church with people that I didn't live around. So there's always this like disconnection that was affiliated with my upbringing. And it wasn't to anyone's particular like dismay
fault.
Fault.
Yeah.
It was just the circumstance. And so...
Who did you feel like you took it out on?
Everyone. I tried to find like different enclaves of people that I would associate best with. And I found that like anarchist punk rockers were like kind of the most in line counterculture. They were always like on the fringe of society. They were like misfits and things like this. And I always felt that way. So towards adolescence and getting into high school, that's like the group of people that I was spending most of my time with.
What was like the draw to them?
They all didn't fit in either. So
yeah.
we were literally just like a band of like white, green, yellow people that just didn't matter where you came from, is that you didn't belong.
I see Christianity as kind of like the misfit religion. And so to be a misfit in the misfit religion probably felt pretty like terrible.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Until later on.
Okay, so how old are we like now at this moment?
Well, in this punk rock stage, this is like high school phase.
Yeah.
And through a series of unfortunate events, like I was no longer to finish school in California.
Okay.
So I had to move to a different state in order to graduate on time. So my dad, growing up in North Dakota, still had family out there. Mm-hmm. So I graduated from high school in North Dakota and joined the Marine Corps immediately after.
Okay. Just because you needed structure or something?
Structure and a sense of belonging, right? So like Marine Corps is all about small unit leadership and discipleship, and as a 17, 18-year-old, it was something to be proud to be a part of. And so
they'd accept you though a little bit.
They accepted me really well.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And so like what do you want to elaborate on, like kind of why you had to leave the state to finish out school?
Well, I mean, just for the sheer fact that I was hanging out with this group of misfits, like we've gotten a lot of shenanigans. So just
I feel it.
Yeah, just like ditching school, smoking pot, just things that are not in line with like what the church is teaching.
Oh yeah.
And that just fit right into.
Dude, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
But sometimes I feel like I kind of ran out, like I was part of the same type of crowd, I guess. Maybe not anarchist, but like anarchist is a little bit crazy.
Well, you always have to up the ante, especially at that age, throwing out claims of things that we probably didn't even have a full understanding.
Exactly. Yeah. I feel like part of it too is like how much of the suffering that I went through was because of the people I looked up to, right? People I put faith in, and the people that I really cared about. I feel like I looked up to people that weren't the best, and I chose my mentors incorrectly for like the first 15 years of my life, 16 years of my life. And so once I started kind of looking up to the right people, I didn't have to constantly one-up people with bad stuff. I was one-upping people with good stuff. And so do you feel like a lot of that type of stuff was like based off of kind of like who you were looking up to? Older friends,
so like
whatever.
I didn't have a problem with like acknowledging someone that had attributes that I wanted to emulate, right?
Yeah.
Like I would come to church and see that these people had something and I wanted that, but I felt like they had something that I could not attain just because they fit in and I didn't.
Chet Baker has this song. Right?
Does that make sense?
Yeah. He has this song that's like, they're writing songs of love, but not for me. And he's talking about how all the songs are about love.
Right.
And it's like the radio isn't for him. The music isn't for him. The art isn't for him.
Right.
And so he lives in a culture outside of where everybody else lives.
Absolutely. I could relate to that.
Yeah.
Like my parents, they would take me to church 3 times a week. They would pray before we would eat. We would pray before we go to bed. But never once did I go into my own room and pray on my own. I didn't feel like I had access to whatever they had access to.
So like you were locked out of heaven.
I just didn't fit.
We'll call this like chapter of your life locked out of heaven.
Yeah, or something like that.
Yeah.
I felt like it was just unattainable. I was a what do you call it? A spectator, and everyone else was doing their thing.
That's so relatable.
Yeah.
And then so you go to the military. What did you learn there?
Well, I learned 2 things. I learned that the military was the best experience of my life, and it was also the worst experience of my life because there was an expectation, right? And like through training, they really hype up that discipline and small unit leadership that I was just mentioning earlier. But along with that, it's also like the largest fraternity in the world.
Yeah.
So there's more shenanigans, right? And so I became older and louder
with a gun.
With the shenanigans.
Yeah, and a gun.
And a gun. So I got in and I got right out after.
Where'd you go?
I was just stationed here at Camp Pendleton.
Okay.
I didn't go and do.
You didn't go too
interesting.
far away from the.
No, in fact, it was funny because I joined the military in hopes that I would leave.
Yeah.
And it sent me right back to where I grew up.
So something was kind of pulling you back.
Pulling me back, yeah. And I didn't really understand that until maybe a good 6-7 years after getting out of the military.
Okay. So you get out of the military, what happens?
So I hadn't really mentioned it before, but I had always had an interest in image making from childhood.
Yeah.
And my parents tried to facilitate growth in that in whatever way possible. So through like cartooning and just a various amount of different things. But while I was in the Marine Corps, I was getting tattoos a lot. And it came to me, and inspired me to maybe when I got out to continue with that.
So being a tattoo artist?
Tattoo artist, yeah.
Okay.
So being that I didn't want to be in California when I got out, I went directly back to North Dakota. And I met a good buddy of mine who became Orthodox later on.
Okay.
And he was living out, or he was from Houston, Texas, and he was getting out of the military. So while we were both living in North Dakota, we made plans to move down to Texas.
Okay.
And he told me about a tattoo shop that he had known about growing up, and they would be interested in someone like me to work there. So I came in and did a year apprenticeship at the shop and started tattooing from that time. So I'm tattooing full time, and I'm making the best money of my life, but I have no foundation in who I am at all.
So Joe Metz hasn't been defined?
Not at all. I'm finding all these different things that you can be a part of: the military, tattoo shop. There's a strong brotherhood in both, but there was no foundation of like my belief system, or and it was basically just gathering information from random people and just kind of culminating my own series of worldviews.
So at that time, did you feel like you were a amalgamation of like all the people you kind of looked up to and talked to?
Yeah.
Like you weren't yourself?
I wasn't myself, but I looked up to certain people and I didn't really understand why. Like my dad, for instance, like he's a very calm person, very humble person, very quiet person. And he didn't teach me how to like use tools or how to work on my car or change my oil or anything. But he had this like, it was fascinating to me how calm he always was. And I didn't understand that it was Christ that was doing that. It was just he had something that I didn't have.
Yeah.
Or, you know, someone be like a great father and a great family man, but I couldn't understand like what
you
made
liked
that possible, or what made him different from someone that had a family but was in a dysfunctional family. I saw if I had to like look at one individual over the other, maybe he wouldn't have been like the ideal person, but by looking at him and witnessing his conduct, it trumped like any type of certification or licensing that the world could offer, you know. But I don't think I was ready.
Do you people watch?
No, I kind of just, I'm not around people very often.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're kind of reclusive, but I feel like you're gathering a lot from all these people.
Yeah, well, like when I'm around people, I try to give people my full attention.
Yeah, you're very attentive. Yeah, I haven't met anybody that's like we'll be in a room and I'm talking to you. It's like there's nobody else in the room because it's just like you're focused on the conversation, and it's like this is more important than the noise outside.
To me, that's the only way that you can communicate. Like,
really,
I rather you just not communicate at all. Than to have some like superficial
50-50
or like let's get this done so we can move on. Or
that's one of the worst things is you'll see somebody that you haven't seen in like 5 years, and you're like, all right, are we gonna go through the BS? You know, kind of just how you doing? Oh, good. How's your family? Good. And then kind of hug and see you later.
And we see that, and I think people a lot of times have good intention in that, but in order for you to have a relationship, it takes an effort.
I think
like,
it more over it takes honesty. When somebody asks me how I'm doing, and I say good and I'm not doing good, I feel like that's like I'm stripping and taking away an opportunity for you to be a good friend to me.
But then, I'll be at the grocery store or something like that.
Okay.
And they'll be like, "How you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, not that good.
Not
I have
that
to do
good."
this." And then it's like you broke their brain. Like they don't know how to even react.
You're not allowed to say that answer.
Right. So
Yeah.
that's why I feel that it's better just to not even.
Don't even talk to me if you don't want to hear the real answer.
Or like just be more conscious of like the amount of times that you're talking.
Yeah. Yeah, I talk a lot.
Because we don't really have control over who talks to us, but we have control over what we say to them.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to the story.
Anyway,
Where were we?
So I'm tattooing full time.
Okay, making more money than you could.
Making more money than I've ever made, and I think that was the straw that broke the camel's back. Was I was flirting with all these different world ideas and associations to be a part of.
What was your religion at the time?
I was baptized Orthodox.
Yeah.
But I left the church as soon as I could. I mean, I was religiously going just by proxy of my parents up until adolescence.
Yeah.
And then by high school, they were tired of like trying to force me to come to church. And so I kind of died out by maybe 15, 16 for me, that this Orthodox way of living or way of perceiving living. So I had some type of like moral compass as a residual just from like how I was raised. I knew it wasn't good to kill people and steal things from people, and you should treat people nicely, but you didn't need Christ in the equation necessarily to live out those virtues, right? So I was, I guess, agnostic. I guess if you had to categorize it in some way, like I believed in something, but what and how, I wasn't. The only time it was addressed in childhood, that God I wasn't able to connect with. So it was something, but and as time went on, and dating people and getting influenced by other people, like I would say that I made the switch to say that there was no God whatsoever.
Atheist.
Yeah. And that became a religion in itself, because in doing so, I went to conventions and read books, and there's a whole series of faith. Well, it's an ideology, atheism. It's a form of worship. It's just you have to spend time proving to yourself that God doesn't exist.
So you said you were playing with worldviews at that time. Sorry, and I kind of interrupt you. You were playing with atheism at that time?
Atheism, yeah. Like Richard Dawkins and Christopher Hitchens were big at the time.
Yeah.
The girl I was dating at the time, she was super into science and things like that. So
that's the most loose thing. I'm into science or whatever.
Well, okay. So she was she cleaned up like crime scenes.
That's
anyway.
gnarly.
So like she was very much into like forensics and she's a forensic scientist.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. And so she would nerd out when these people would come and talk. So we'd actually go to their conventions and get books signed, and so it was very much like a way of practicing your religion, but saying that you don't believe anything. Yeah. Kind of strange, honestly. But we could talk about the end of that. So I was tattooing full time and making good money, like we had mentioned. And one by one, things started to be pruned from my life. So it came in small little bits, like the sobriety that I had for a while, I started using again. And then the people that I was hanging out with, one by one, started to just not respond to my messages. Weird quarrels at work that never came to be before, to the point where the owner of the shop was questioning whether I could continue working there. And I went from having this huge group of friends and circle of people and all the amenities and the fun that you can have to being very alone and not really have a direct answer as to why that was. It was almost like I had like the scarlet letter on or something like that. And everyone knew that there was something about me, but I wasn't aware of what that was.
It's almost like God marked you at that time.
Oh, I call it like a purging process. Like I wasn't vigilant and sober enough to hear him or see him in anything. So he bit by bit started taking those distractions away to the point where I was completely left alone. And there's a night that I'm sitting in my house in Houston, Texas, alone, with no job, no girlfriend, no friends, and no one to turn to. And you would think that I would have found the need to pray, but the one person that I thought about was my dad. And I was like, my dad would never be in this situation, you know. And so I called him, and I asked him, you know, like, why am I in this situation? Like, I've always worked hard. I've always been charismatic and tried to be nice to people. You know, there's always been a desire to like improve myself in one way or another. I didn't want to just be some deadbeat, right? But it just wasn't working out. And I thought I had everything, and it just very instantaneously was dropped. And so I asked him, like, how is it that you're able to maintain this like level of calm throughout any situation? And it seems like your life doesn't differ very often, you know. And it's like, he told me directly, I don't think you want the answer to what you're asking. And I was like, no, I do. I want to know the answer. And he's like, well, son, you know, I have a relationship with Christ and you don't. That's the only difference. But that's all the difference. And I knew what he was saying, but it was like I didn't want to really retain it. But I knew what he was saying was truth. So he said he's like, you have two options. You can either continue down the path you're on, or you could come back home and we come to church. And at that point, I mean, there's everything telling me to just follow what he was saying. So the next day, he came from California, flew to Texas, and we packed up my truck and left. I drove 26 hours straight from Houston, Texas to California. And it was a Saturday, and I'm exhausted. And he's like, if you're going to be staying in my house, we're going to church tomorrow morning. I was like, no, we're not. Like, I just drove 26 hours. You know, I have no desire to go to church. He's like, if you're going to stay under this roof, you're going to come to church. And I said, well, I'm not going to go to the church that I grew up in because I just never fit into that. And he's like, that's fine. Go to any Orthodox church. It doesn't have to be that one. It's any Orthodox church, I'll take you there. So we ended up going to an Orthodox church of my liking, and we arrive, and it's the Feast of the Prodigal Son. And that was the first time in my life that I thought or felt God was speaking to me. It's like there's this personal exchange that was happening that I never, because I was always the spectator. I was always the outsider looking in, and now he's like, forget everyone around you, I'm talking to you, Joseph. You know, and I felt that, and I was so struck by it. But I knew that was going to come with a lot of struggle because I was still actively living a debaucherous life. And long story short, it took about 5 years of me grappling with the idea of coming back to church to actually submit to Christ and to acknowledge that I have no control over anything in my life and that you are sovereign over all things and that I have to follow you in order for me to live any type of life at all.
Yeah.
So
Real quick, before we move away from that.
yeah,
Dude,
there's a lot there.
The devil had you on the ropes, dude. He had you on the ropes in that bedroom in Houston, Texas. Like, literally, like, you were
There's
down.
a lot of thoughts going through my mind, like, should I still live?
Yeah.
Like, you know, is it really worth
Yeah.
doing this anymore? You know?
Yeah.
And so it was a very desperate moment that I was in.
I'm sure, bro. I'm sure we've all been there.
And I'm glad I remember it like I was yesterday, because if I forgot it, it would be a bad thing.
Yeah, it would be bad. You need to remember, like, you need to understand where you come from to really understand, like wow, okay.
It's kind of like I'm working on this icon of Saint Paul.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay,
And
tell me about it.
He's kind of like the epitome of that, right? So he was like living this like life that was not righteous in the eyes of God, and God like stopped him in his tracks in a
Blinded
very
him.
extreme way, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he even left him with like we say like a thorn in his side, but like there was something that God left him with, an ailment of some sort. We don't really know exactly what that was, but the tradition is that he was left with some type of ailment to always remember like where you came from and what you were doing previous to when God healed him and changed his name from Saul to Paul.
Yeah, I always think of Ananias, who was called to heal him. Mm-hmm. And so, like, you painted the floor red on this. You were telling me because he was killing Jews.
The Christians, yeah, or the Jews.
The Jews, because there was no differentiation. And imagine walking up to this guy holding a sword, you know, and he's blinded by Jesus, and Jesus is like, yo, you got to heal this guy. You got to heal him. And it's like, the second he's able to see, he's going to kill me, right? Because Ananias would have been the perfect person for him to kill.
Oh, yeah, he was killing people like
Ananias, right?
Absolutely.
And so
he knew very well that he was a Roman citizen and that was his job, and he was getting paid to do these things.
Yeah.
It wasn't just like some radical like this was like his occupation was to kill people that were following Christ.
Just even like your dad saying, right? Come back, right? It's beautiful, right? It's representative of how God wants us to come back constantly and run into his arms, and he'll accept us. But one of the hardest things that I relate to as a sinner and as somebody who's been outside of the church, I once didn't believe in Jesus. I once was atheist or agnostic or ignorant, whatever you want to call it. Coming into the church with the pig food all over you, you know, and you feel dirty, and you're like, oh, all these people are looking at me. And you're insecure. And you understand that, like, you know, I'm unworthy to be here. Sometimes it's the fault of the church. Sometimes it's the fault of yourself. But we all need to realize that that's what the church is for. St. John Chrysostom said, it's both a harbor for the righteous and the sinner. This guy wrote half of the Gospels, or half of the New Testament.
Love letters.
Yeah.
And he's a murderer.
And he's a murderer. The floor is red for a reason, you know? But he's able to turn things good. All works for the good for those who love God. And so it's an effort to come back, though. It's hard to come back, especially when you feel like you're dirty, like you're rotten, like you have the pig food on your mouth, you know? Like you've lived that life like so far away. And I feel like even showing up to the church selfishly is such a testament to like, all right, I'm at least trying to like get something out of this, you know?
No, it's funny that you mentioned that, because it's the exact way that I felt. And knowing that I was going to have to come back to the church that I grew up in, and there's just like this expectation of how I was going to be received, I was very concerned about that. So I actually ended up going to the monastery.
Why did you feel like you were accepted there a little bit more?
At the other church?
No, at the monastery.
Well, at the monastery, I feel like everyone that's there is a monk. Like, it's a lot more about them internally and not so much like how you're perceived externally as far as like a group of parishioners at a church. And it was kind of like me running away from what I just experienced and try to like regather my thoughts with that.
Back to kind of what's familiar, back to yourself a little bit, huh?
Right, because I mean, it was like this really earth-shattering like experience to hear the gospel like that, to actually feel like God was encountering me.
Like he cared about you a little
Yeah,
bit.
and so I was like, I need to take a step away, and I felt like the monastery was like a holy place, and this is somewhere that I can kind of like regather my thoughts and kind of like let it percolate what just went on.
So this was like your settlement with God. You're like, I don't want to go back to my church yet, because you felt like there was maybe something that you had to like face there that was strong. So you like kind of went to the monastery to like gear up.
Yeah, to gear up and just maybe and get some advice from a monk or something. You know, like I had really no real idea what I was doing, but I knew that I needed to process what happened.
Yeah. So what happened there at the monastery?
So I'm walking outside of the monastery grounds, and I see this priest sitting underneath a palm tree. And it wasn't a monk priest. It was like a priest that was serving in the Southern California area. And he knew me by name, and I'd never met him in my life, but my time away from California, he knew my entire family. My brother and my parents actually attended his wedding because his wife is my godfather's daughter. So there was like this relationship there that he knew me and I didn't know him. And I was like, who's this priest that knows me, everything about my family? And like,
he's a good shepherd.
I was very like taken back by that experience, right? And he's like, oh, well, like I have this ministry in California serving the homeless. And like, I think it would be really cool if you came to serve. And like before we ever got into discussing serving, he's like, and what are you into? And I was like, I've never had any priest like, or anyone really ask me like what I enjoy doing. And I was like, well, I love painting. Like I love to paint. And he's like, well, guess what? There's painting in the Orthodox Church. And he presented like iconography to me, and I was like, you know, doesn't there have to be some type of prerequisite in order for you to be doing this? You know, like I imagine like monastics or like someone like doing that type of work, not me. And so he kind of just like let it brush off my shoulder, and later to find out this would be something that I would be doing. I didn't really take it too seriously, but I did take up the offer of serving with him. And it was in serving with the church where Christianity made a shift from ideology to a way of life. Like I heard about God my whole life.
Yeah.
I could tell you what gospels to read. I could tell you what the circuits are in the liturgy, but to like actually have a relationship with him that's lived didn't happen until I started serving.
Yeah.
And it was the homeless. So I didn't look as crazy as a lot of other people. You know, there's lots of people with tattoos. There's lots of people with drug addictions. There's lots of just crazy stuff going on all the time, to where like the attention had nothing to do with me. It's all about serving the community, and that's at large. It didn't matter. So it kind of like this preconceived notion of like how things were going to be when entering back into the church, this kind of flipped it on its head for me.
So did you kind of feel like because of the way that you looked or because of the way that you stuck out, you might have been focused on more like than the average person with no tattoos and no history?
Yeah. I mean, I'm just basically like wearing my sins on my sleeve, you know. And it's like it's a lot easier to like say, oh, well, they did something in their past, than for like, you know, someone wearing their designer clothing.
Yeah.
And their, you know, fresh haircuts and stuff like this. It's easier to say, oh, well, they've been here in church and they're taking it seriously.
Yeah. Besides, it looks less genuine when somebody has a bunch of tattoos and has like kind of...
And I was very much aware of that. I mean, I did some covering up in the time that I've been here, just because I just don't want demonic things on my body anymore. But, you know, it's a lot easier to point out, right?
But so real quick. So do you feel like serving with the homeless kind of gave you an opportunity to finally not be focused on, to finally blend in?
It saw me, what it showed me was that it's not about me.
Yes,
right?
yes.
We're serving Christ.
Yeah.
Like, maybe what I saw before, like, was Satan was trying to mess with my mind, saying like, "Whoa, see, you're not fully what they are. There's no way you can be a part of what they are."
Yeah.
But it was still like me about me, right?
Yeah.
But like when I'm serving someone else, it no longer becomes about me and how I'm perceived. Like, I'm in the action of doing something. It's not so much me being stagnant and me being looked at. I'm too busy to be thinking about that because my focus is on serving Christ. So the situation remained the same. I still have tattoos. I still live this past, but my perspective shifted.
Yeah.
Where it's not about me.
Yeah.
It's about Christ.
Got you.
And that's where this
Sanctification.
Sure. This is where the real journey began.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Into Christ and yeah.
So we'd say that we like kind of hit like the life before Christ, eventual rock bottom. Now we're kind of going to the redemption.
Right.
Where does the redemption start? Where do you feel like things start to take an uptick? You know, start to go maybe not your way, but like more
like more directive.
Yeah.
In my spiritual life, yeah, sure. So like, serving was, like I said, the jump start to even having a relationship with Christ, like, at all. And then now that I'm living this lifestyle, prayer became much more apparent to me that like I should be doing this all the time. This is how I could spend more time with Him and gear up for another day of serving. And so there's like this snowball effect.
Real quick before you get into it, I think it's funny that there's this notion, the devil just works in so many creative ways, that serving is for the people that are doing good, right? Sometimes I remember, I've only done this one time, I'm not saying it to brag, but I went to like the food bank at Christ a Good Shepherd.
Okay, yes.
And I just had hurt my back. I was in the hospital the day before, and I remember sitting in that hospital, like thinking to myself, like, just let it go away to the point where I could just serve tomorrow. Because I made a promise to somebody that I would go and do it. And so I was like, all right, woke up in the morning, took some ibuprofen, and I went to Christ a Good Shepherd. And went with Tony, and Tony introduced me to this nice lady named Serena. And Serena's walking me through, and she's like, boys, you gonna be on the front line. And I was like, okay, what's the front line? And she's like, the meat section. And so we're going through and we're looking at the meat, and I'm like, all right, there's all types of different, I mean, there's some like less good meat, and then there's some there was literally like A5 Wagyu. I saw it one time. Yeah. And I was like, all right, this is crazy. Okay, so I'm sitting here and people are coming through. And so typically like if somebody is homeless, they don't really need like meat because they don't have like a barbecue or whatever. Cook, yeah. So you're dealing with people that Serena broke it down into the need, the want, and the greed. She said some people need it, and you could really tell who needs the food. Some people want it, you know, by the way that they come in, and some people have greed. And so you'd see people come in, they'd be like, no, I want 3. I want 4. Oh, no, I want the A5 Wagyu. I don't want this. I want that. And so I remember very distinctively praying, and I've never prayed this before this day. Lord, I just want to see you today. I just want to see you today. Whatever happens today, let me just see you. And so I'm sitting there, I'm like, I haven't seen Jesus today. You know, I'm looking all around. I'm like, where's Jesus? Where's Jesus? And people are walking through, and I'm seeing the need, the want, and the greed. Need, want, greed, need, want. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, all these different types of meat, and nobody deserves it, right? Nobody walking in there deserves the food that's there. And I'm looking at these people coming in, and no matter what they do, they get 2 pieces of meat, right? They could be a good person or a bad person. And I'm like, oh my God, I just saw Christ today. Because in a way, I'm seeing how Christ looks at us. None of us deserve the food that He offers us. None of us deserve it. Yet He provides it to us, and how we react is kind of how I was feeling. Like somebody came through and they're like greedy, and it doesn't make me want to give to them at all. they're just taking and taking. The person who kind of wants it, it's like, okay, I'm kind of indifferent about. But then the person who needs it, I think that's why he came for people like Paul, like you and
He
I.
said, I didn't come for the righteous.
No. And so I'm sitting there, I'm like, nobody deserves it. I don't even deserve to be serving, right? I didn't pay for the food, right?
Yeah.
I'm not a perfect person. I go hungry sometimes, I don't eat in the mornings or whatever. And like, yet I'm sitting here and we're all just broken people trying to administer like to each other. And we're trying to, no matter what I dress myself up in, I'm still going to be that broken person who doesn't deserve to eat at the end of the day. Like, people do not realize how much this church is for the broken, the sick, the needy. Like, and I feel like oftentimes, like recently, I've been focusing on other people constantly. And dude, I'm too sick and I'm too broken to worry about anybody else.
Well, they say the devil's playground is an idle mind.
Yeah.
Right? So if we're keeping ourselves busy, even the monastics, they would use their hands building like baskets from palm leaves, and even the most mundane thing that you could think of. They did it because they know that the moment that they allow their brain to lose focus of Christ, you're going to revert to some type of judgment or some type of ill thought towards someone, or so we're constantly having to combat ourselves with that.
Yeah. So like the reason why I said that is like service isn't just for like the perfect person, because none of us are. But it's for Christ working through me, and Christ was able to work through me that day. And it's the only time I've ever done it, but like I'm willing to do more of it. But like I just thought it was super interesting. And the fact that you said, like, this shows where you are, is like my walk with Jesus started with serving people. And maybe you're a lot better off than me, because like I guess like the end of my walk with Jesus sometimes is like, oh, then I'll start helping people once I'm okay. Jesus,
I think in the act of serving, that's the healing.
yeah,
That's the ointment.
yes. But it took me so long to figure that out.
It's that's why it's a journey, and we're sojourners in this place. Like, we don't belong here.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of confusion.
Yeah.
And it's meant to be confusing from the evil one. So, like when we just double down and just keep ourselves busy with serving Christ, things become much, much more clear.
Yeah.
And
okay,
real.
So I interrupted you. Where were you? Again, sorry.
No, so like
I'm a bad interviewer.
So no, I mean, so we're talking about kind of basically where I fit in the service, and like and serving the poor, and that was like it was kind of like a service that was like in a silver platter for me. I like show up, I'm told, hey, I need you here, I need you there. You may have some conversations with people that are edifying, but it was very orchestrated for me. There's no like abstract like way of serving, during this same time, we were praying with the Protestant ministry at the time, this church that I was attending that was doing the homeless ministry. And we gained enough people, enough servants to where we started praying a regular liturgy on a weekly basis. And I remember it was the first or second Sunday that we were praying there. I'm praying to God, like I'm serving you, I'm here, I'm finished with school. I'm not a Sunday school teacher. I'm not going to be a priest. I'm not going to be like a doctor that helps people out in the church. Like, where do I fit in this equation? How do I serve you the way you want me to serve you? And literally, it sounds so silly, and when I talk about it, I even have to remind myself, is this even real? But there's a tiny little lady. She's a consecrated servant. She wears gray in the Orthodox Church. She's not a nun. She's not married and has devoted her life to Christ. And she lives in the cathedral in Cairo, where our patriarch resides. And she comes into the church, and I see her just as like this larger-than-life character, although she's like 4'11". And after the liturgy, she comes and gives this talk in Arabic about iconography. And I could understand a bit of Arabic, but not very well. So the priest starts translating what she's saying. So I run to my car and I get my notebook and I start writing down what she's saying. And she sees me after the meeting and she wants to talk to me. And I was like, okay. And she said, I noticed you've been writing what I was saying down. Are you an iconographer? I said, no, I'm not an iconographer. And she's like, well, have you painted anything or drawn anything religious? And my dad's birthday was the year before, and it happened to be the enthronement of our patriarch, the same day. And so I drew an image of the Theotokos and Christ child for him. Because it was his birthday, he was busy watching the enthronement. So I was in the kitchen drawing this for him, and then I gave it to him after we found out who our new patriarch would be.
Yeah.
And so I showed her that image, and I don't have it here today, but she's like, you drew that? I was like, yeah. She's like, oh, great. That's an awesome drawing. I'm working in St. Damianus Church in Bakersfield. I would love for you if you came and spent some time with me working on the icons there. And I thought she meant like to go scout out what she was doing for like a day or two, and then I go home, and she's like, no, I want you to be with me for 6 months. And I was like,
wow.
Okay, well, that's cool, but
That's a pretty big cross
I
to
work,
pick up. Yeah.
you know, and I don't think I could take 6 months off of work. So I go up to Abuna and I'm telling him, you know, she's telling me this, but I can't take 6 months off of work. And he's like, well, go ask them and see what they say. What's the worst they could tell you? No. So, yeah, I guess that's true. So I go and I ask my work, and they're like, well, yeah, you could take the 6 days off, but don't expect a job when you get back. You know, it's 6 months. Like, if you're not available, we're going to just hire someone else. So like, okay, so I tell Abuna, you know, it's not going to work out. I end up getting laid off the next week.
Really?
Laid off from my job. And so I call Abuna, he's like, so guess where you're going? I was like, I guess I'm going to Bakersfield. He's like, yep.
Wow.
And I remember that drive. It was like, it's something from like a dream or something, you know, like every song I listened to was amazing. All the hills were super green that day. And I was just like, I felt like where I was going was a good thing.
The grass is greener with Jesus.
Yeah,
is what
and
I
was
find.
like, I was like, I have no idea when I'm going to get paid next. I just know that I have gas money to come out to Bakersfield, and I'm going to spend time 6 months with this lady that I can't even communicate with. And I'm like, but she's an iconographer.
Yeah.
So we can talk through imagery.
Yeah.
Right? So I get there.
So that's your language at that point with her.
Yeah. So I get there. And tell me why the whole 6 months I was with her, I was able to speak to her in English, and she was speaking to me in Arabic. And we were talking about our childhoods and what it was like for her to grow up in the church and what it was like for me to leave the church. And like in-depth conversations that I don't understand how we even had over dinners, and in the mornings we would pray together and work together. And,
Tongues? Tongues?
That makes more sense than people that like do the gibberish thing.
Okay.
Yeah, you know, I feel like, because I will speak to her even now. Her brother just passed away. He was a mosaic artist. It was kind of cool. She did the icon painting. He did the mosaics. It's kind of and he was like this really tall guy.
Yeah.
And she's really tiny.
Yeah.
So it was like a cool little duo that was going on.
It was like Shaq and Kobe.
But when I talk to her on the phone now, it's like very superficial. Like, how have you been? How have you been? Good. And that's about as far as our language could take us.
Yeah.
But that time that I was there, we had a lot of talking to do. And what I learned the most from her was her relationship with the saints. And that really set the curve of how I'm supposed to tap into that. And how integral relationships with the saints is in the work that I do now.
Okay.
And so she was the first iconographer that I got to spend any time with. And through a series of events, my name was put out from a video, and some guy caught me in Toronto, and he knew a Russian Orthodox iconographer that he wanted me to spend some time with. So it took me to Canada for a few months. And then from there, I knew an iconographer from the UK that I got to do some like online work with for a series of time. And I got to meet a couple of other iconographers through that. And God kept opening up these different doors and avenues of how I could learn and how I could create a more in-depth approach to the work that was being presented to me, because I felt like I had no place doing that.
I'm interested now. You've learned what iconography is. You've spent all this time discipling under these people that are great minds, great artists. What is iconography?
Iconography is a means in which we can look with our eyes and insert ourselves into the space that it's depicting. It's not just a reminder. It's people say it's a window into heaven, but I think it's a step further. It's a window into heaven that invites you to participate in it in real time.
How?
By its orientation, like liturgically, like we sit or stand facing the east, and the whole focal point of the liturgy is for us to partake of the body and blood of Christ. So it's all about the mystical supper, right? So we're not referencing a time that's happened before and reenacting it. We're not displaying like an act of that thing. We are actually putting ourselves in that time. Christ is breaking the bread, the same instance that he broke the bread for the disciples, and we're partaking in the same manner every single Sunday. And in the Oriental tradition, we even see like kind of like a half circle in the mystical supper, the Last Supper, as a representation to we are the other half of that circle sitting at the table with them. In the iconostasis, we'll see an icon of Christ right behind where our lectern is.
Okay.
And so the icon of Christ should typically have the Bible open. This is an icon of Christ, the teacher. So where we're being taught, where the readings are being read, where the homily is being given from, is where Christ has opened the Bible as a teacher. So we're in that world. It's not like a reference to it. We're actually living it there.
So they transcend like kind of like space and time.
Absolutely.
Do you feel
we
like
transcend space and time in the liturgy?
Yeah. Okay, makes sense.
Yeah, that's where the Victorious Church and the Militant Church are one.
Yeah.
We even have an angel that comes down and presides over the altar.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the priest actually has to release this angel at the end of the liturgy back into the heavens.
Got to make it back home.
Oh, angel of this day, flying up with this hymn. And he throws the water up. That's his releasing.
That's okay.
Yes.
I learned so much.
Yeah.
So now, do you feel like you create icons, or do you feel like you discover them?
We call ours, so in Orthodox terminology, we don't create anything. God is the only creator of all things, and we co-create with the Father. So we take things that he's made and we can refurbish them into something and co-create. But we don't make words, we don't make structures, we don't make anything, because it takes made material to make those things. So we don't create, we co-create.
And why, like, my curiosity is, like, why is that so important to humans? Like, one of the things that kind of, like, I like to talk with atheists about, just, like, curiosity-wise, like, you don't see with any other animal, when they get free time, they start making, icons of St. Paul. Like, when there's, like, the first recorded paintings are, like, when we started to develop farming and stuff, we get free time, and we immediately start...
Which is so amazing to me,
Yeah, we immediately start creating. And so why do you think that is as an artist?
I think to kind of backtrack, we're created to worship. That is the most fundamental aspect of our being, is that we worship. And if we're not going to worship the one true God, we're going to worship something else.
Yeah.
And so we use imagery to worship God, but they've made idols from the beginning of time to worship false gods, and to the point where it's even mentioned in the Bible so many times. Or all these false gods, and how the Jews made the golden calf, and
Yeah, with Moses.
So there's lots of reference to that, and I feel like if it's not to glorify Christ, we're glorifying something else.
Gotcha. And so we're just constantly trying to find something to glorify, like kind of like a phone.
Ourselves is really easy, especially like with the Western perspective of being individualistic and like this capitalist like type of mentality.
Do you feel like we're like kind of like a channel for worship? Like every single one of us is like a phone constantly searching for a Wi-Fi signal, trying to pick up something to be able to like put energy into and create?
That is our essence.
Really? Wow.
To worship.
Wow. Where'd you discover that?
This is what we are created to be. This is what the Orthodox Church has taught me.
We're created to worship.
We worship.
Yeah, no, for sure. People also say like...
And the angels the same way, but just in a different way.
People say in the same way, like the kind of worldly terminology is you're going to be a slave to something.
Yeah. And sin is bondage.
Yeah.
It's slavery.
Yeah.
And St. Paul talks about being a slave to Christ. So it's like, maybe we use this term. It's funny that it's Juneteenth that we're doing this interview.
Oh my goodness, I didn't even realize, bro.
But like slavery has always been looked at as like a negative thing, and freedom being what we want. But our concept of freedom is actually bondage.
Yeah.
And what we consider to be slavery is actually freedom. Because
freedom.
Denying ourselves and dying to ourselves and being selfless, that is bondage for the secular world.
Yeah. So now you're studying under all these people, and I'm kind of just curious.
Yeah. So towards the end of me spending time in Toronto, you could ask your question.
No, you're good.
Yeah. So towards my end of time in Toronto, the same priest that presented the idea to me under the tree of creating icons, they ended up buying a church.
Okay.
And so I came back from this trip, and I had some work to show him that I had made there. And he said, well, guess what? I want you to be doing the icons in this church.
Wow.
So that was my first experience doing like icons liturgically, like in an Orthodox church. So I did my due diligence and went to the bishop that's presiding in Temecula to show him a series of the work before I went and started. And that was the beginning of me actually working full-time as an iconographer, was at that point.
And how long ago was that?
This was in 2017.
Okay.
So it's been, it must have been 2018.
Yeah. Okay. And so since then I've seen some of your work, and it's insane. Like I've seen you do some of your Michelangelo stuff on the top of the roof.
On the ceiling, yeah.
That's incredible. I don't even know how an artist could ever do that. Yeah. You got the 21 Martyrs.
21 Martyrs of Libya.
Yeah, that one's beautiful. Christ the Good Shepherd. That was one of the places.
Kind of to riff off of like what we were talking about earlier about signing it and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to witness something really special about that icon. There's a lady that was coming to visit the church, and she had just got done interviewing a lot of the family members of the 21 Martyrs of Libya in Egypt.
Really?
And so she was coming in to interview someone else at the church, and she saw this icon. She's like, I have to show these people this icon. It's like the first one that she had seen in North America, like on the wall directly. And she's like, I think these people would love to see that their family's on the wall here. And so I wasn't in the conversation, but I got to witness her asking permission to make the phone call and the videotape, and to see the mothers and the wives' reactions of their family member on the wall, and them being able to pick them out and getting like an emotional like charge from that.
Yeah.
That like I didn't like the fact that I wasn't known that I was the one who did it, and I got to witness them see that. It was a very special moment.
God,
And
bro,
so like that's like a very it's like people like
the art superseded you though at that moment.
that, and that's its point.
That's like kind of the start of this interview. I
Where
was
you
like,
see the little child like venerate the icon,
you're like, wow.
and they probably just looked at me like I was a crazy person as they were walking in. That's it for me.
Yeah. You want people to look at you and be like,
I mean, I don't want people to think I'm just some crazy person, but so that kind of like I want to mention change on the Forerunner too, because he was very integral to my entrance back into, because I had mentioned like my background into punk rock and being like kind of like counterculture to things, and St. John is exactly, he's like punk rock. He's
so
counterculture. He's like the epitome of what I thought I should have been doing, but for Christ.
yeah. So
And then not only that, but Christ put it up to such a high pedestal. Like he's the greatest man born of woman, right? Like, so it's okay to look a little rough,
yeah,
but as long as it's for Christ, you know, you're not just doing it because you hate the system, or you know you're mad at your mom and dad because you think they didn't treat you right growing up. No, this is because like he has a extreme zeal for the love of Christ.
Yeah, I feel
and
like
there is like a counterculture that can exist in Orthodoxy that I really appreciate.
That's one of the things I've been kind of discovering lately, is because I used to be pretty angsty, kind of like a little bit more, kind of like anarchist a little bit. I used to go around doing like graffiti. I used to always want to just like be seen somehow, and I feel like. Yeah, very similar. I wanted my name up there. I wanted to express myself. I wanted to worship something, you know. But now that I've been able to channel it, dude, I feel like I'm like anarchist just towards the devil and his plans and what he wants to do. I like any way that I could fight against the devil, I would love to. And I feel like John the Forerunner, I feel like he would have had the tattoos and he would have been, you know, radically just trying to get Christ's name out.
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
Know, like
and he was radically doing it in his own way.
Yeah.
I mean, he made a lot of people upset, and that was the death of him even.
Yeah, dude.
You know,
all of my favorite people were killed.
All because he was speaking truth.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. I think one of the best ways to go is to be killed for something that you love.
There's something to it. I mean, we read the Senexarian every week, and that's usually what ends up happening.
Yeah.
Those are our saints, is the ones that are willing to die for the
best people. The best people get killed. And it's not like old age and stuff like.
Theotokos she was special, and also St. John the Beloved.
True.
And a lot of people will say, well, because those are the ones that didn't run away.
Yeah.
He was being crucified and stuff like that.
That maybe that's true. Okay, so I want to get like back on track with your story. Sorry, there's so much like I just love talking about like people's lives and stuff. So, but it's very interesting what's going on in your life. So, you go and you start painting. Now your work starts to actually take form. People are recognizing it. When did you decide to remove your name from it completely?
Oh, I never put my name on it.
Okay, never.
It was taught to me that way.
By the older lady?
By every iconographer that I came in contact with.
Okay.
So now we're talking about some intimacy here. I don't normally talk about this kind of stuff, but for me, the work is the process. The process is the healing for me. The outcome is that there's a complete icon that now takes on a function liturgically. So like, not that I've disassociated with it, but my personal interaction with it is now done. And now it's being used as something beyond who I am. So the process is all about me. My cleansing with Christ, my relationship with Christ, my prayer, my time with Christ. When it's done, it's now placed somewhere for viewers to to interact with it.
Gotcha.
And my name should not be on that. I don't want my name, like, I am not a sponsor for any, like, I want my name on, or his name on me, not my name on.
Oh, so beautiful.
So like it to me, it would be a distraction. I'm looking at an icon, I'm like, oh, so and so did that icon.
Yeah.
You know, and so I should be staring at Christ's face and thinking about how I should be feeling towards him and how he feels towards me and that interaction.
Yeah.
Not about whose hand this icon was made by. That's a distraction.
Yeah.
That's like a commercial in the middle of a really nice song. You know, no one wants to hear the commercial.
Nobody does. So, so now you're starting to find your place in the church. Did you feel like you were fully kind of accepted at that point, or not really?
There's this constant battle with me trying to find like an acceptance or some type of, not a certification, but like acknowledgement of some sort. I'm getting it where it matters. But yes, there's, especially at the beginning, I've heard like hierarchy before being displeased by work that had been put up from other iconographers previous to me. And I didn't want to be that person, especially because I was just starting out and I'm very vulnerable just being back in the church as it is.
Yeah.
It would have been very easy for me to be like, oh yeah, see, that didn't work out later again. But I knew that wasn't possible. So I was really like desiring to get more of a, how do I say this?
Take your time.
Like permission, to do it. But like I said, I got it from the people that mattered, but there wasn't like an overwhelming group of people saying, oh, but this is
good stuff.
This is good stuff, So it was through it's through God's providence. I mean, I don't market myself. I don't really have a website or anything like that where I put my work out. It's all been through word of mouth. And it seems to me that every time a door closes, another one opens. And for the last almost 10 years now, this is what I've been doing full time, and I have no idea how it's been 10 years.
Zero clue. Like, it's just been...
But it keeps, and now other things are coming about for a next project. I'm currently working here, but in the next year or so I could be potentially working somewhere else, and it's just been that way for...
So you're kind of like a cowboy, a little bit. Like, my dad always explained he's a general contractor, and so he was like, I'm kind of a cowboy. I'm like, Dad, you're not a cowboy. But I've started doing architecture work and stuff, like residential design, and it is cowboy-esque, because you don't know, cowboys back in the day, they would go from ranch to ranch, and they'd roam around, and then they'd just have their hat and their bag and their horse, and then they'd be like, all right, is there work here? And if there was work there, they'd be on there for 6 months. They had zero clue what was next. And so there's like you're walking by faith, like that things are going to work out. And I feel like when I do that, most of my anxiety kind of goes away a little bit if you do it right. I love the fact that you kind of found a way to integrate so creatively your art into something that's edifying. I feel like a lot of Christians, they don't figure out how to use the gifts that they've been given to glorify God. They look at like, all right, I got to have the button-up shirt and the side part, I got to look a certain way and act a certain way, and I can only worship God on Sunday. But
I think that's a failure on our part. I mean, Christ is a perfect example of how he chose the most diverse group of people that would never really want to be around each other, aside from the fact that they were following the Christ.
Yeah.
And so there's a place and a space and a purpose for everyone that comes into the walls of the church. And if we're not facilitating that, then that's our problem.
Exactly.
Because, I mean, you could make a list of different services, but service is situational. Each parish has different types of service because of the different demographic, different needs amongst the people. I think we do a really good job of categorizing things in the West, and it's like, oh, Sunday school teacher, you're the groundskeeper, you make the Orban, whatever it is like very specific jobs, and like everyone has to fit these different billets. But like what you're doing is a service, what Mukram's doing is a service, doing all the gardening, it's like it's just as purposeful.
I would even say that
God looks at it
yeah.
the same way as Abuna at the altar.
I would even say that, like, a lot of my friends are like, oh, I gotta go and be a fireman. I want to save lives, and a lot of them aren't Christian or whatever, and some of them are, and I'll be like, you don't need to be a fireman and walk into fires to save lives. Like, somebody doing the gardening, I go and I enjoy it. Maybe I'm having bad thoughts in my head that day, and I recognize the beauty of the garden and that somebody trimmed it, and put effort so I could enjoy it today. And maybe it changes around my whole entire life. Mm-hmm. And so we're saving lives daily just by being ourselves.
Well, God talks about how, he's given the different talents, right? And there's some that are given a few, some are given one.
Yeah.
It's not so much about like your different abilities, is that you're actually using them.
Yeah.
And so like we as people, we like to categorize and like put a hierarchy to the importance of different services that we do.
Different talents too.
Because some just are more respectable than others, right? Like you have the teachers and the preachers. Of course, like there's a following of these people.
But if you're good at unicycling, all of a
sudden, well, what does that have to do with anything? Right?
Yeah.
But then then there's a there's
a
summer
unicycle school
that, and like you have to like keep the kids entertained for like 20 minutes, and like you could show them how to do that, or you could do your little twists or something, and like that grabbed their attention. It was needed, and that's just as important as the 30-minute homily. Like those kids need to be addressed.
Sure. So being the body like of Christ as the church, we are all members.
Yes. Yeah. And if we're not showing people where they fit, that's our problem.
It's the same as cutting off your arm, right?
Yeah, well, you're just like saying, well, I don't need my left arm, I'm right-handed.
Exactly. And it's like Father Daniel said, like, if I were to cut off your arm and place it there, would I say your soul's inside of it? And so when we push people away and say, your art doesn't belong in this church, right? Because you have whatever on your arms, or whatever way you feel about this and that, like your talents are equally valued towards the person that's able to talk or the person that's able to, make clothing or whatever. I think that we need to figure out ways to incorporate every single person, because some of us don't have the flashy talent. I know I can relate to you because my talent...
But we all have something.
We all have something.
That's the important thing to recognize.
Yeah. I know I could relate to you, though, having that like one thing and have it be mistaken for something that's kind of like bastardized and being hated for it.
Well, especially like, I'm half Egyptian, so like most Egyptians, they may appreciate art for what it is, but to think of it as a means of like surviving or like having an actual, to have it as a profession or as like that's career.
Yeah.
They don't really value it that way. In order for you to be successful in life, there's like a certain group of jobs that you can do, and art is not one of them.
Doctor, lawyer, engineer. Yeah, makes sense.
Those three.
But I understand it too, because the people that come from Egypt, I mean, especially the Christians that come from Egypt, the oppression that they face, I feel like it would be like almost ingrained in me to like want my children to do as best as possible once they can actually finally have freedom from religious oppression and have like
now you're touching on the disconnect that I had, right?
Yeah.
So like I have a mother that was very much in line with that mentality, and then a father who was raised here, where his parents never once pushed or asked him to do anything after school. It was basically his own prerogative.
Okay.
right? So coming from those two different worlds, I was like, well, I don't like either one of those.
Yeah.
You know,
I get it.
so yeah. So I was prepared for some of the the disturbance when I coming back into it. You know, because there's lots of opinions, there's lots of ideas out there on what iconography is, and because of the oppression in the Coptic Church due to Islam, maybe some of the tradition isn't exactly like as put together as other Orthodox traditions. So coming into it, I was looking for some type of acknowledgement or like, yes, this is what we're talking about type of thing. And I didn't always get that on the large scale. It was always like amongst the clergy and stuff like that I got that backing from. So now it's very much like that, where I'm like here you're saying like a cowboy, where I'm not putting myself out there. It's only according to what's being presented to me. I'm more than happy to continue down that path, because it's like you're saying, it becomes like a very intimate path with Christ, and it's like a faith in knowing that He's literally putting the food in my mouth on a day-to-day basis. And if I want anything more than that, I may lose what I have. If I'm not thankful for what I have, I might lose it.
Yeah.
So it keeps me connected with Him in that way.
Do you feel like you told all your story like well enough? I wanted to move on to another segment.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about some myths that might be associated with maybe the church, or that I feel like you'd be capable of answering. Are you cool with that?
Yeah, that's fine. I wasn't expecting that, but we can talk about it. Yeah.
Are tattoos a sin?
That's contextual. Like it's a subjective question. Like I think what's more important is like, does it disqualify like salvation or something like that? Because what God or what the world uses against someone, God could make a beautiful thing. And I was named after Joseph, so like he was sold into slavery. It's like one of his sayings, like, and so I believe that my tattoos, although I was getting them away from Christ, and a lot of them aren't edifying or like glorifying God in any way, they have been used in my coming back into Christ as a tool for people who also have them to feel like they have a place.
Yeah. So is it like kind of like Paul's ailment?
Well, I think Paul's ailment was to remind him that he had faltered and been far away from God previously. But I think, and tattoos can be that way for me too, but it's also, it shows people that, well, if you were in some type of gang, if you were living an alternative lifestyle at one point, that doesn't disqualify you from being a part of the body of Christ, just based off of things that you've done. Now, I mean, the reason why I say it's subjective is because, you know, there's different traditions of, like, in the Coptic Church, the Copts were labeled just kind of like the Jews were during World War II. Like, they put chains around their necks, or they branded them with crosses on their hands or wrists. And through this sign of oppression, we take this as like something to be proud of as a cultural thing. And so we do the tattoos. The Ethiopian tradition, you see women even with on their foreheads and things like this. So am I going to tell them what they're doing is a sin? I'm not sure if that falls in line with, like, because I know people say we're the temple of God and we shouldn't deface the temple of God. But if it's to glorify Him,
because now you found a church that you're doing tattoos at,
yeah,
like book fairs and stuff.
Ironically enough, yeah. So and that's something that I kind of do for people.
Yeah.
As well, so.
But there's also another part of the tradition with the cross on the wrists in Egypt, where you're getting the tattoo because they used to cut off your tongue for speaking about Christ, and you had to like represent it some way.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot. I mean, I was not from that time period, and a lot of this is like oral tradition.
Yeah.
And so I've heard lots of different things. I've heard, and they may
I'm sure they're all true.
all true in one way, shape, or form. But like, for instance, like the crosses on the wrist or the hand, I've heard this was like a branding thing, but this is also a way that people. Like if there was any business or commerce that was done in the area, in order for you to seal a deal, you'd have to do a handshake, and if that would be a way that they knew you were Christian, so they could either charge you more or not do the right. So I've heard we put the chains around their neck to the point where their necks became blue, so they call them blue necks. So the icon or the cross fades into a blue. So there's like the blue cross, the blue chain, the blue bruising around the neck, the bruising on the wrist. It's lots of different.
So like moreover, kind of like, should somebody who's Christian get a tattoo? And I think it's kind of like the same as like, we can turn anything into a sin. We can turn anything into self-edifying. Oh, this is my name, or this is my lover's name, or whatever. But I think what it's more talking about, it was talking about scarification in the Bible, where it's like you're doing scarification towards vain idols, and you're hurting yourself towards vain idols to mark yourself to somebody else. And I haven't seen like a lot of substantial evidence that like this type of kind of edifying, like our priest has a tattoo.
Yeah, so here's the thing. So like I actually was talking to a priest recently because he was giving a talk at a servants prep meeting, and he was really harping on the idea of it's really serious to make children stumble.
Yeah.
Right. And of course Christ gives us very descriptive what it's better for you to do than to make a child stumble. So I immediately thought to myself, well, like, do my tattoos make children stumble? Like,
wow.
if they see me serving in the church and they're like, oh, well, this guy, like, they let this guy do it, like, I should be able to do X, Y, and Z. And so the way I look at that is that if you're living a life in Christ in service, like, people should be able to see through the fact that, like, maybe this was a part of who you were and that you're living a life with Christ now. If you're, not living a life with Christ, maybe that will define who you are.
Yeah, so if you're looking at life through a sin-colored lens, then obviously, you're going to sit there and look at tattoos and be like, oh, this person's terrible. But if you're looking through life with a Christ-colored lens, that's like...
But not only that, but it's like the person with the tattoos living a life with Christ is what I'm trying to say.
Oh, okay, that too.
Like, it's kind of weird, Before I had any children, I felt like very uncomfortable around kids. Just because I didn't know what to say to them or how to interact with them.
I feel that.
And I remember one day after serving for a bit, and some little kid came like during Vespers and sat on my lap. And I didn't look any different than what I did when I came into the doors of the church. But because I had shown face there, because I was serving there regularly, it was like they were desensitized to the idea that I had tattoos, and they cared more about me serving in the church.
Yeah, and so you were kind of accepted.
Yeah,
I feel that.
And now I kind of understand. Now that we're talking about this, actually, like reverting back to like my childhood, if I would have just kind of tried to participate in some type of way instead of just telling myself, well, I don't belong, maybe things would have turned out a little easier for me. God,
I love it though. I love that you were able to like how much more deep are your roots, Because, like, I don't know, it's just amazing. All right, I have one last myth. Is it true that the Orthodox Church worships icons?
No, we do not worship anything
Elaborate
but
on
God. So we venerate.
What is that?
So veneration is like it's an expression of acknowledging someone, like maybe that could be superior to us or someone that we would like to emulate. We venerate loved ones, like we go to their tombs and clean them up and spend some time, maybe have a glass of tea, sit there, that's a form of veneration. In iconography, we're not exalting the materials, we're paying respect to what we're looking at. Like, I don't believe that that there's like something magical about the paint, that if I bow down 5 times in front of it, that like I've rubbed the genie bottle just enough for me to get what I want out of it.
Yeah.
It's just like an ode to who we're paying respects to.
Yeah. So
and,
it's more...
And just like having a respect for the sanctified space.
How would you describe your love for the icons?
My love for icons is a relationship through process.
Okay.
From childhood, God always put this desire for me to use my hands and make images. And I didn't make the connection of how that could be done to glorify God until iconography came to me. And now that I make iconography, like, I believe it's for my salvation that I continue it, because this is one innate way that God created me that was different than others, that I could spend countless hours with him doing it.
One thing I want people to get from this episode is that it's more than just the finished work, especially for you. It's the process. It's the love poured into it. It's the research.
The process has everything to do with me and my healing.
Mm-hmm.
The outcome is for the viewer and their relationship and encountering Christ in the church.
And I think it's kind of cool that we have something that's unfinished, because it kind of shows how, like, we are in life.
Yeah, I mean, just like, I'll give a little snippet of like some of the process.
Okay.
Like, so in classical painting, traditional painting, we start from a light and work into dark. And in iconography, everything's paradoxical, just like Orthodoxy is.
Yeah.
So we start from dark because we're sinful, and then through process, through Father, Son, Holy Spirit, 3 passes of light, we're now lightening from dark to light. So in Genesis, God talks about separating the light from the dark first. And so we start by separating the line work from the negative space.
So even the process to draw this is biblical.
Right. And then God made man from clay. So we start with a clay-based color on top of all the flesh tone, because he created man from clay. Okay. And then the lightning process from there, which is 3 rotations. Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Those who have been baptized with Christ put on Christ, and that's when we put the highlight in after the 3 layers of light. So even the sequence and how he worked, the process itself has symbolism in it, not just the imagery that we see when it's done.
Gotcha. And so it's more than skin deep. Tell me kind of like...
Yeah, because if you're going to look at an icon in comparison to like maybe like a Catholic image that would be the same subject matter, they're looking at it, or the Catholics, I'm saying the Catholics are looking at it from a very academic perspective, where there's an external light source, right? So the light's coming from somewhere, and it's casting light onto all the forms, and the forms are then casting a cast shadow, right? And so and some of the features are dramatic, and like it's almost theatrical, and it's really displaying a high technical ability of the painter.
Yeah.
But it's negating everything that you're looking at as far as its importance. Like in iconography, Christ is the light source. So you're never going to find an external light source in an icon, which makes things look flat and doesn't have that sequence of light and shade that you would see in an academic painting. So when you look at it, juxtaposition next to academic painting, even though it's the crucifixion, for instance, the whole aim is to show how adequate the painter is and not so much what they're depicting.
Really? So when
I call it a humanistic approach. It's like it's all about, did I get all those muscle tones in? You know, is that lighting hitting every space to get, you know, the right mood? Where iconography, it's like Christ is a light source. Everything's flat.
Yeah.
Everything's in your face. There's nothing in the background. There's no depth perception.
Yeah.
Right? Because that is a perception. It's not reality.
Yeah.
Like it's actually an augmentation of the way we see.
Can we do something where we walk around and take a look at some of the stuff and you explain what's in the...
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah. So in the theophany, we have what we were describing earlier, where there's no like depth perception. Everything that is in the icon should be very visible and literal, and in your face. There's nothing going to be in shadow. Everything's going to be very easy to see. One side symbolizing the earth, and so you have the tree, the axe. The axe is facing away from the tree because there's good fruit. And then you have the angels representing the heavens on the other side.
What about this up here?
Yeah,
with the squiggle.
Yeah, so God has never been incarnate in the flesh, like the way, like God the Father.
Yeah.
Right? But he has been mentioned in various forms, through fire in the burning bush, or through sound in the theophany. Behold the Lamb of God who takes away the sin of the world. And that squiggly line is a representation of God's words. And then we have what we call the mandorla at the top.
Right.
It's like this half circle with 3 different colors. This is showing a dominion over heaven, earth, and Hades. And so we have Christ crossing his arms. This is like a sign of humility. He was here to fulfill the law, not to change the law. St. John was baptizing man in repentance through water. And so in order for him to follow suit, he fulfilled that by being baptized by St. John. So this is like a sign of humility. The God-man is going to humble himself to be baptized like we to sin.
What about these fish down here?
The 4 fish are representative of the 4 Gospels spreading to the earth. So like the idea is that he is purifying the waters. Greek tradition, you even see some like Greek pagan gods riding on fish, escaping from the righteousness of Christ because they can't comprehend or be in the midst of it. But in our tradition, we just have the fish symbolizing the good news being spread.
Wow.
Throughout the earth.
So it's more than just a painting.
Absolutely. And the objective is not to show any realism. This is all like sanctified and like abstracted in a way that is to take us away from like an earthly understanding and to bring us into a heavenly understanding. And it gets deeper as far as color and composition and things like this, but for the sake of time. But the most important thing is to recognize that it's transcending time and space, and it's bringing you into that actual presence of God in that moment.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you liked the episode, please go hit the subscribe button. Joe is working here at where?
St. John Chrysostom here in San Juan Capistrano with Father Daniel Habib and Father Moses Yakub.
All right. And you'll know where to find him. Ask around. He's one of those guys. You know, he doesn't got a website or anything, but we really appreciate his time. Thank you guys so much. And as always, God bless. Isn't your wife Spanish? Mexican?
Yeah,
Just by like heritage, but
Her dad is like a Texas and Mexican American, so he doesn't really speak too much Spanish. Okay, her mom's more Italian and her dad is Mexican.
it's hard to but they can still make the food though.
Yeah.
That's
Before you get ready, so you do make tamales. Okay.
Okay.
Sweet.
So
All right.
we're good.
Will you do?
I will. Or so, will you do?
Well, you know.
Will you do?
I never proposed to her, man.
What?
It's so crazy.
Okay, we're gonna have to figure all of that out. We're gonna have to talk about everything.
So you got the cross, right?
Yes.